photo by John Weast, Getty Images. Every team is going to have close calls during a season. The difference between average teams and great teams lies in the ability to prevail when you don't have your A game, and that is what the Texas Tech basketball team did Wednesday against Oklahoma State, which entered the game as a 17-point underdog. Coming off a 29-point win over Kansas, many wondered if the Red Raiders would suffer a letdown against the 9th-place team in the league. But despite playing an uninspiring first half, Tech still took a 10-point lead into the locker room, making the near upsets a strange. In most huge upsets, the underdog usually bolts from the gate quickly to put the favorite in an early hole while building its own confidence. But Tech was able to build as much as a 41-27 lead in the first 2 minutes of the second half. After an OSU timeout, the Cowboys seemed to regroup while Tech suffered an uncharacteristic loss of intensity. For most of the second half, Chris Beard's team seemed content to just play with its food, allowing the Cowboys to quickly pull to within 6 points at the 12:58 mark, and when the underdogs took a 1-point lead at 59-58 on a three-pointer by walk-on D. Mitchell, heart rates across West Texas spiked. Still, we must give the Red Raiders credit for finding a way to win. This team absorbed Oklahoma State's best shot and still came out on top. Eventually, this game may turn out to be an important moment in the season by helping humble a team that was living large on the back of a 5-game winning streak. Tech had been playing like the best team in the nation for nearly a month, so the odds suggested that a clunker was likely at some point down the stretch. And that clunker came against the perfect opponent. Had Tech played this poorly against any of the 3 remaining regular season opponents, TCU, Texas and Iowa State, the Red Raiders would have lost. But an OSU team that was down to 7 scholarship players could not make the Red Raiders pay. Want your voice heard? Join the Wreck 'em Red team. Write for us. Now the Tech must take the lessons learned on Wednesday night and learn from them. Let's take a look at 3 reasons Tech nearly saw their Big 12 title hopes dashed by the most unlikely of opponents. Next, poor offensive execution. Page 2, photo by John Weast, Getty Images. During February, the Texas Tech basketball team became one of the better offensive teams in the country, but in the month's final game, it regressed to some poor habits that led to January's offensive struggles. The tendency is to look at the box score and deem Tech's struggles as just a poor shooting night. And certainly, the 3-19 from three-point range was the worst Tech had shot in its last 5 games. But one reason Tech struggled to shoot the deep ball was because of lazy play on the offensive end. Missing from the offense was the precise execution and crisp ball movement that had been the driving force behind the Red Raiders' recent offensive success. It is fair to wonder if Tech became too infatuated with the three-point shot after knocking down 16-26 from deep against Kansas. In fact, in the previous 5 games, the Red Raiders had hit 58-124, 46.7% of their three-point shots. What's more, a Red Raider team that began that streak making fewer than 7 threes per game hit at least 10 in all but one of those games. But did that hot streak cause the Red Raiders to fall into some bad habits? Tech averaged 24.8 attempts per game from long range during their winning streak, which was an increase of nearly 5 attempts per game from its season average. And when the shots were not falling Wednesday night, Tech seemed to have forgotten how to attack the basket. Hopefully, this will be an opportunity for Chris Beard to remind his team that playing solid offense and moving without the ball are the foundational pieces of the motion offense. In overtime, Tech got back to that formula as evidenced by Matt Mooney's 2 field goals in the lane on back-to-back possessions. The senior went 0-4 from three-point range after being on fire in his previous 5 games, and a Tara Goins dunk on the first possession. Here's hoping this offensive performance serves as the moment when the Red Raiders are able to reset offensively and return to the offensive principles that have been so successful in February. Next, poor three-point defense. Page 3, photo by John Weast, Getty Images. One hand, we must give the Cowboys their due. In hitting a school record 17 three-point shots, they put on a shooting exhibition unlike any we have seen from a visiting team in the history of the United Supermarkets Arena. That was especially true of junior guard Lindy Waters, who drilled several of his 7 threes over Red Raider defenders. But that should not overshadow the fact that Tech was terrible when it came to defending the perimeter. Outside of Waters' miracle shots in the final minutes of regulation and overtime, too many of OSU's looks from deep were wide-open looks. That was certainly the case for the majority of the 6 threes Thomas Giagua hit on the night, as well as the three-pointer that walk-on D. Mitchell made to put OSU up 59-58 with 3:34 to play in the second half. And once Tech allowed Waters and Giagua to find their rhythm, it looked like the Red Raiders forgot how to guard the three-point line. In fact, Waters' ability to shoot off the dribble baffled Texas Tech all night, as the Red Raiders were unable to figure out how to switch on ball screens in order to keep a defender in Waters' pocket. Then there were moments of just confounding lapses in execution. Most notably was Jarrett Culver's failure to foul Waters in the final seconds of regulation. As Waters had the ball near midcourt, Culver inexplicably reached around to try to knock the ball away rather than just fouling him. So instead of putting Waters on the free throw line and forcing OSU to make one free throw and miss one, get the rebound and hit another shot, Tech gave the hottest shooter on the planet at that point to have a decent look from deep, and Waters drained it. All season, Tech has been among the top 5 teams in the nation in defending the three-pointer. But for some reason, the Red Raiders got away from that Wednesday night, and it nearly cost them dearly. Next, a cold streak at the foul line. Page 4, photo by John Weast, Getty Images. The unquestioned hero of this win was Davide Moretti, who was the definition of clutch by hitting all 12 of his free throws, including 8 in the final 5 minutes of the second half and overtime. But the rest of the team nearly cost the Red Raiders a win with a shaky night at the line. More from Wreckham. Red Tech was just 13-20, 65.7% from the charity stripe outside of Moretti. And at one point in the second half, there was a run of 6 consecutive misses. When Deshaun Corprew missed the back end of a 1-and-1 at the 12:02 mark, Tech was up 52-43. Culver then missed the front end of a 1-and-1, which is as damaging as a turnover, with Tech up 8 points. Nonso Diaz then missed a pair of attempts that could have restored a 9-point lead and ended a 2-minute scoring drought. Brandon Francis then missed a pair to extend that drought to over 4 minutes. Finally, Moretti stepped up and stopped the free throw woes by drilling a pair at the 6:48 mark to give Tech a 58-49 lead. The Red Raiders were incredibly fortunate that OSU did not make up hardly any ground during that stretch, but by failing to capitalize at the line, Tech missed out on an opportunity to push the lead back up to at least 15 points and potentially break the spirit of the visiting team. Next, Tech survives OT scare versus OK State and had the free throws cost Tech the win. It would have been the second time this season that free throws cost the Red Raiders a home win. In its only loss in Lubbock this year, Texas Tech managed to go just 6-15, 40% at the line in a 68-64 loss to Iowa State that still may loom large in the Big 12 race. Fortunately, the same fate did not befall the Red Raiders a second time Wednesday night.